Joker here!
Salacious B. Crumb, what do you think of Mark Hamill being cast as Chucky in the new Child's Play remake coming out in just a couple of months? Salacious B. Crumb, man, one of my fucking favorite Star Wars characters. I think I should get myself a little Salacious B. Crumb. Yeah, like a little puppet, and he'll just sit here and be like, he'll just laugh at everything I say. And it doesn't really matter if you guys laugh or not, because he's laughing. That'd be awesome. I think I should do that. Anyways, let's talk about this. It's a fucking shit show. What you think you see, what you think you hear, that's what it's about. Mood and atmosphere. No, it's fucking garbage. It's garbage. Mood and atmosphere. Now that I really like. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to see. Hey folks, how you doing? Dave McRae here. Yes, that's right. In this video, I want to talk about that news that dropped a couple of days ago now in regards to Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker himself, being cast as the new voice of Chucky in the Child's Play remake coming out in just a couple of months, this June. So I wasn't going to do a video on this, and I know that might surprise a lot of you, and I don't know why I wasn't going to. I saw the news, I heard the news, and I thought, oh, okay, you know. And then my social media lit up like a Christmas tree from people wanting to know my thoughts. And then it sort of dawned on me when people started to say, hey, Dave, you're a professional voice actor. What do you think of this? And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess some people would maybe want to know my thoughts because I can relate to the fact that Mark is a voice actor and I'm a voice actor, and maybe I can bring something a bit different to the table in terms of a video. And that's when I realized, you know, that's not a bad idea, because I do have a lot I want to say, not just about Mark Hamill's casting and what that means and how long he's actually been cast. This is not new news, by the way. He's been the voice of Chucky for probably quite some time. It's just coming out now, okay? It's not like he's just signed the deal right now. He probably signed in, months ago, and of course signed an NDA, which is a non-disclosure agreement, and can't talk about it. But nonetheless, so there's a lot of things I want to talk about from the voice actor's perspective. And I thought, you know what? Okay, yeah, I should do a video. Of course. Why am I not doing a video on this? So here we are. Okay, so let's start here. So what are my thoughts on Mark Hamill being cast as Chucky in the new Child's Play remake? Well, first of all, I'm actually really excited about the potential of this new Child's Play film. I'm not particularly excited about the new sci-fi series that is coming, and that doesn't mean it's not going to be good, but when I look at the two, it's kind of like, Don Mancini wants to do this, and I'm just kind of like, nah, I think Don Mancini has ran Chucky into the ground. And that's my opinion. So I'm just kind of like, oh, well, this is interesting. That doesn't mean that the remake is going to be good, but I was more attracted to the potential of a Child's Play remake. So that's kind of where I sat. I was more excited about that than the other, but I was sort of just was wait and see. I wasn't really thinking about who was going to voice Chucky. I didn't really care about it, really, per se. I wasn't thinking about it. So when it was announced that Mark Hamill was cast as Chucky, when it was finally revealed, because like I said, there's no doubt that he's been the voice and probably already recorded his lines. He's done. It's signed, sealed, and delivered. Maybe there might be some minor ADR. He may have to do some pickups, but I have no doubt that he's probably already done. But when it was finally revealed that he was the voice of Chucky, my first thought was, that's good. That's safe. And not safe in a bad way. I mean, that was smart. And it was smart on many levels. Okay. It's smart because, Mark Hamill, he's a very accomplished voice actor, very successful in his own right. He's quite talented, to the surprise of a lot of people, because he is known as Luke Skywalker. And this is the thing you have to understand about the voiceover industry. The voiceover industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's one of the most important parts of the entertainment and corporate industries. But sadly, it's often misunderstood, unrecognized, and unappreciated. And by and large, the reason for that is because you are out of sight, out of mind, right? We work behind the microphone. microphone. And there's this misconception that voiceover has everything to do with the sound of your voice, and that's not entirely true. Voiceover is really about your performing and acting abilities. How good of an actor are you? There are voice actors in this industry right now who have amazing voices, but are struggling to make ends meet. And there are voice actors right now in this industry that have seemingly average voices, but are hugely successful. And by and large, depending on which genre of voiceover you're working in, that is because you understand the art of acting. You understand how to take direction. You understand how to interpret a script. You've been doing it for a very long time. You understand how to get into character. And although the world of animation and cartoons is where you're really going to sort of, find out what you're made of in terms of your acting and performing abilities, even in the other genres of voiceover, whether it's radio and television commercials, whether it's movie trailers, whether it's game trailers, whether it's narration, whatever the case is, your performance abilities, your understanding of how to take direction, of how to interpret a script, of how to hone in on certain elements of a script and get into a character, even if you're playing a somewhat fictional character of yourself, is vitally important. It's rarely about what kind of voice you have. Does a nice voice help? Well, sure, but that doesn't mean you're going to be successful. And that's one of the biggest misconceptions. So when it comes to Mark Hamill, in terms of being a voice actor and getting into animation, people were surprised way back 30 or 40 years ago because he was known as Luke Skywalker. And then in the late 80s, he really started to get into the voiceover more seriously. He had always dabbled in it, but it was the late 80s, early 90s where that really sort of took off, in most part thanks to Batman, the animated series, where he became the Joker, right? And that was something that was huge for him. And people were kind of shocked, like, wow. And there's no doubt he would have had to have auditioned for that, I would imagine. And he was the best man for the job. There was something there that Mark really tapped into. Mark Hamill has always struck me as the kind of person that really understands the tiny nuances and details that help bring a great villain to life. And, one of the reasons why I've been able to sort of kind of come to that conclusion is because I've watched him in interviews and at Star Wars celebrations where he's talking about whatever. I mean, maybe it's an interview where he's talking about his voiceover career and he's talking about his approach to certain characters and he's talking about the tiny nuances and subtleties of a character's motivation or whatever it is. I've always noticed that about him. He's very good at telling stories. He's very good at the nuances that help make stories interesting and characters interesting. He understands certain things about characters that the average person that maybe is not a performer or actor doesn't necessarily think about. And that only helps an actor's performance and motivation towards that character. So now look, there's no secret that when it comes to voiceover, he is most known and best known as the Joker. But the Joker is a very eccentric, bombastic, over-the-top character. But Mark Hamill has played other characters. He's played a variety of different villains in a variety of different video games and cartoons. He's done a lot of different stuff, even though he's best known as the Joker. And there were a lot of people that got in touch with me that said, Dave, I'm really excited about this casting, but I can't help but think that when I go and watch Child's Play in June, that somehow I'm going to be hearing Chucky as some sort of hybrid of the Joker, because that's what you think of. When you think of Mark Hamill and voiceover, by and large, that's what comes to mind. So I completely understand that. And the Joker is a villain. So I understand why you would probably default to that. Those of you that are thinking about that and that maybe sort of have that mental block, you need not worry. There's several reasons why they're not going to do that. The number one being they can't do that for copyright reasons. Number two, the studio wants to distance themselves as far away from the Joker as possible because they want Mark Hamill's performance as Chucky to stand on its own merits. Now, whether or not that performance seeps into the pop culture consciousness as iconic is yet to be seen. But even if it doesn't, that doesn't mean that Mark Hamill's performance as Chucky is not going to be good. I have no idea if it will, but that doesn't mean that if it doesn't enter, the pop culture ether as iconic, that it's not, right? It's like a viral video. I mean, we have no control over what goes viral, but just because a video doesn't necessarily go viral doesn't mean that the video was not awesome, right? So you have to keep those things in mind as well. But definitely the studio wants to position themselves as far away from the Joker and have this new incarnation of Chucky stand on its own merits. The third thing is that this new Child's Play movie is going back to the roots of the original in terms of Chucky, in terms of tone, style, and flavor. Now, obviously, the story is going to be a bit different, but the original Chucky in the original Child's Play in 1988 was fucking scary. And by the time you get to 3 and 4 and 5, he's not scary anymore, at least not to me. So they want to go back to that sort of flavor. And Chucky in the original Child's Play, although he had a personality and although we saw him angry and he raised his voice, he's not bombastic and eccentric. And because that's the vibe they want to go back to, I have no doubt in my mind that Mark Hamill's approach to this character, certainly with the direction of the studio and the producers and the director, of course, is going to be much more subdued and pulled back, much more creepy and eerie. And then if he does have to get angry and passionate, it will be in line with the personality that's been established, right? So those of you that are worried that you're going to get some sort of hybrid of, come here, Andy, that's not what you're going to get. It's not going to be that at all. I believe it's going to be much more pulled back. So, and there's no better example of Mark Hamill's sort of mind frame right now than the promotional video that was released just a couple of days ago at WonderCon. For the vast majority of that short video, it's Mark Hamill just announcing that I'm going to be the voice of Chucky and I'm looking forward to bringing a new version of this iconic character to life and blah, 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 right? It's Mark Hamill. But at the very end of the video, he closes by saying, he says, I'm paraphrasing, but he says something like, it's more than a toy, he's your best friend. Or maybe he's more than a toy, he's your best friend, right? That's what he says. But he says it like this, okay? So he's like, yeah, so, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be great, blah, 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 because, he's more than a toy. He's your best friend. Do you know what I'm saying? He suddenly changes tone. Okay, now I don't believe that he's doing the Chucky voice, okay, because that's not going to be seen or heard until the actual movie, or at least a trailer. But it's the intent behind the eyes. It's the tone. It's what he's foreshadowing to his audience of the approach, subtle, creepy, eerie, nuanced in the eyes. The way when he says he's your best friend, the way he kind of raises his eyebrows a bit, right? That's the exclamation point, like, he's your best friend. And I did it much more than he did it. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, okay, that's cool, but we're not going to be seeing Mark Hamill as Chucky. So how are you going to, what difference does that make? It's just a voiceover. Right. But this is voice acting, and he brings that performance to the microphone. He brings those nuances and subtleties to the performance. So even though you're not seeing Mark Hamill on screen, it's in the subtleties of the character that he's bringing to life. So what you see in the promotional video is what you're going to feel because he brings it to the character behind the microphone. And that was fun. I saw that and I was like, this is going to be interesting. It doesn't mean that people are going to love it. Doesn't mean you're not going to walk away going, well, that was fucking shitty. I just hear Mark Hamill. Maybe you will. But I believe this will be a much more subdued sort of approach to the character, and that's kind of fun. That will be fun to sort of see what Mark Hamill is going to do and what the directors and the producers want him to do. Mark Hamill is a safe choice, and I don't mean safe choice in a negative way. I don't mean that way at all. Listen, there's no doubt that Mark Hamill was hired because he's extremely talented. Absolutely, 100%. But there are a lot of talented voice actors in this industry that could have done justice to Chucky. Absolutely 100%. But this new Child's Play movie is behind the 8 ball, and they've always been behind the 8 ball, regardless of whether the fact that their teaser trailer was solid, their website's really cool, the marketing has been great, the posters have been really cool. You go from good guy to Buddy, B-U-D-D-I, I think that's really cool, right? And then Chucky himself, I know even though the new kind of look rubbed some people the wrong way, I think he looks pretty good. So really, at the end of the day, there haven't been any real blunders in terms of this new Child's Play film. So far, so good, right? But they're still behind the 8 ball. And the reason for that is because they're remaking a classic horror movie to a beloved franchise that not a lot of people are excited about. There's some people that are, but there's a lot of people that are pissed off, including the original creator, Don Mancini, who's going off to sci-fi to do his own fucking thing. So they're behind the 8 ball. They have a lot to prove. So casting Chucky was really important. And they knew, is it possible that we can get a talented voice actor, but who also could be maybe somebody that might get asses in the seats? Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill is beloved in the world of pop culture. He's not only Star Wars royalty, he's nerd royalty, he's fandom royalty, he's pop culture royalty. Who doesn't fucking love Mark Hamill, right? Everybody loves Mark Hamill, and he's so identified with another iconic villain that everybody loves his portrayal of. So it's like, oh, this is going to get asses in the seats, potentially, right? So that was a brilliant marketing move. Studios spend millions of dollars on marketing, and they know, regardless that everything is, kosher so far, everything seems to be, so far so good. They know they're still behind the 8 ball, and that was brilliant. That was a brilliant move, because you're not just hiring somebody who's talented, you're hiring somebody that everybody just adores and absolutely loves, and who can't wait to go see, well, if he did that with the Joker, what is he going to do with Chucky? Do you know what I mean? So it was a brilliant move. So, you have to keep those things in mind, when thinking about all this. But I have full confidence that Mark Hamill is going to deliver a performance that is more subdued and is nowhere near what he's doing with Joker. That doesn't mean that you may not hear a little bit of Joker in there, kind of in terms of, maybe a little bit of tone there, a little bit, depending on how deep he goes or whatever it is, because obviously, it's the same actor. But certainly the character is where he's going to shine. It's going to be a completely different character in terms of what he did with the Joker, and that's where the performance is going to stand out. So to wrap things up, I just got to say that I am pleased. I don't know if I'm excited about it. I'm optimistic about it. I think it was a good choice. I think it was a wise choice for a multitude of reasons. And it's very difficult for me to look past the multitude of reasons. As a voice actor, I understand that there were a number of reasons why they chose him, one of which was because he's talented. But there's other reasons as well. And I think it was smart. I think it's safe and it's smart. And there's no doubt that he will do a fine job. I think Mark Hamill's performance, whether you buy it or not, whether you see that as Chucky, whether you hear him as this new Chucky, because remember, you have to put Brad Dourif, aside, and you got to go in completely free and completely void of any expectations. You have to try to. You have to be open to his version of Chucky. And if you are, there's no doubt in my mind that the potential is there to buy it, to totally go, oh yeah, I thought it was great. I think he's going to be if there are issues in the movie, I think he'll probably be the least of those issues, and that the issues will probably come down to story and characters and whether we care about them or just things like that, or whether we like this new version of Chucky, because obviously it deals more with AI than it does with, actually a spirit, inhabiting a body and all that kind of jazz. So we'll see, but that's what I think. I think it's a safe choice. I think it's good. And I look forward to seeing what he does, because there's no doubt that he's talented. Anyways, folks, my name's Dave McRae. Comment below and let me know your thoughts. Are you excited about Mark Hamill portraying the new Chucky? Or maybe are you like, nah, man, I want Brad Dourif. No, man, I'm more excited about the sci-fi series that Don Mancini is doing. That's my Chucky. That's my world of Child's Play. Fuck this new Child's Play that's coming out in June. I don't give a frog's fat ass about it. Or maybe you're the complete opposite and you're on the other side of the coin and you're like, you know what? Fuck that sci-fi show. Fuck Don Mancini. Fuck Brad Dourif. Well, maybe not fuck him. I mean, he was good voice, but fuck everything else. I'm going over here because we need something fresh and new and exciting, and the potential excites me. I don't know. Comment below and let me know your thoughts. If you want to follow me on Facebook, you can at facebook.com/manythingsdavemccrae. That's where I tend to post in the meantime and in between time when I'm not posting here. All the links are in the description to my website, my Twitter, my IMDb, my Facebook. Well, I just said that, my Facebook, my merch store, my Patreon. It's all down there. Click them if you want. If you don't, well, whatever. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.